Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Read Option presented by Good Time Media. I'm Wyatt. That's Jenna. We are back after about a month off. It took a long time to get through this book, but we're here to
For you.
review. For me. Jenna finished this a couple weeks ago. I've been busy. I apologize, but we got through it. Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica, however you want to say it. Opening
How
thoughts.
else you would pronounce that?
Opening thoughts, Jenna, on this book. We'll dive into it. We'll give spoilers. So if you haven't read the book or it's been a while, I'll give a little uh like summary in a second. But just overall, Jenna, you finished a couple weeks ago. What are you thinking?
I loved it.
Loved it.
I thought it was totally unpredictable, and I think that's really hard to find in some of these like thriller books.
Love bomb.
I
I
really liked it.
I liked it. I enjoyed it. I have my qualms with it. So we'll get into it. I did. So in preparation for this, there's a lot of characters and a lot of moving parts. So
Mhm.
I have a little cheat sheet here.
I
Uh,
kept notes as well.
it's gonna be flipped for you, but this is for everyone
No,
who
I can read it normally.
you can read it normally.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's just flipped for me. Anyway, so this is literally the entire book summed up in one sheet of paper. So if you haven't read it, you're gonna be a little spoiled here. So we have Josh and Meredith, we have Bea and Kate, we have Shelby and Jason. Those are like the three main couples. Okay.
Mhm.
Josh and Meredith have two kids, Leo and Delilah. Bea and Kate don't have any kids. Shelby and Jason have a kid, Grace. There's also another couple, Cassandra and Marty, who we'll get to in a second. Let's see. Delilah is missing for most of this book, or kind of. And
Just the
then
beginning, really.
Meredith is
Well,
missing. Delilah and Meredith are like the mystery of the book. We're like, what happened with them? And then here's what happened. Bea and Meredith accidentally.
oh, you're just jumping to it?
Well, we got to sum it all up because someone probably is watching this, hasn't read this book in a year, 2 years,
Okay.
and they're like, I need a refresher. This is your refresher. So we're going to spoil the entire book and then we'll talk about it because I feel like
Okay.
that's the easiest way to do it. So we find out at the end, Bea and Meredith kill Shelby accidentally driving back from a birthday party. They cover it up. Meredith doesn't like that. She freaks out. And then so Bea has to kill Meredith. And then where am I? Delilah witnesses it. So Bea has to cover that up and ends up locking her in her backyard for 11 years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
What else am I missing here? We have
Meredith was sleeping with Cassandra's husband.
Marty. That's what this line
Yeah,
is. So there's a little love triangle here, so, but kind of irrelevant if we're being honest. An irrelevant story arc.
I would
Just a
agree.
little red herring for Cassandra there. We also have Josh and policeman Carmen. They're kind of like flirting with each other. And Jason is in jail for the murder of Shelby at this
Correct.
point for most of the book. And then this is what I want to start with because this is what the book starts with. Delilah number 2, as I'm calling her, also known as Carly, which we find out later on, and
Mhm.
then her little pal in her head, Gus. Let's talk about that. So we open the book with Delilah, and she gives this kind of like very traumatizing and sad, detailed description of her life as she is trapped in this basement, not seeing light for years, and then eventually she finds her way out and escapes. We find out that this person, Carly, is not connected to anything else in this book.
So, basically, they convinced this girl that she is Delilah.
Yes.
They made her think that she is Delilah. She's been in this basement for 11 years. She has no idea what's going on. And then they reunite her with Josh, the dad, and the son. Did you write down his name?
Um,
That Leo?
Leo, yeah.
And there's just like something off about her. Obviously, she's been trapped in a basement and stuff, but they come to find out that that woman cop actually lied. And the DNA test results came back that she was not their child.
Insane. Jail.
And Yeah. It's this
I
random girl that was kidnapped in these copycat kidnappers, basically.
mhm.
Like, they were
That's a
I don't even
one line.
know.
They have one line in this book that connects Delilah number 2 to the rest of the story by saying, "Oh, her kidnappers were copycat kidnappers for what
I'm
actually
assuming
happened to Delilah."
you don't like that line
I
of
hate it. I
yeah,
hate it. I hate it because you're connecting us emotionally with this Delilah that we think we know. For the first third of the book, we're hearing these horrific details of what she's going through living in this basement, and she escapes, and we're rooting for her right from the get-go.
yeah,
And then there's no catharsis at the end where like, oh, you have this emotional like at least she's okay. It's like, yes, she's survived, but I don't know who this person is. Oh, her name's Carly and she belongs to someone else. Bye. Let's move on. You can't just shoo her out of this story.
yeah,
That bothered me a lot. Like not a
agreed.
lot, a ton. I'm not saying I didn't like this book. I'm not because I enjoyed the suspense of it and there were moments through the last third that I didn't want to put the book down. Like I'm like, all right, I can't wait for the next. So that's a sign of a good book.
Yeah.
But I could still be frustrated with it. I think.
I do think that that part was kind of unnecessary in the whole grand scheme of things, but I think, honestly, the author's goal, I'm assuming, with writing this book was to make it super unpredictable, and I think that added to, like, the unpredictability of it.
I yes and no. It's unpredictable, but you can be unpredictable without just like intentionally leading your audience in the wrong
That's the whole
direction.
point.
I don't think so. I don't think that's it's I was gonna say ethical, as if this is like a immoral act of by this author. But I think you could have the same unpredictability of like who done it, but without just giving us like I just feel unfulfilled with that first third of the book now. Where it's like I'm connected to this person. She made up this character. That's like heartbreaking. At first I was mad about that, but then I thought about it more. I'm like, that's just like a heartbreaking reality of what this girl, Carly, had to go through. And
Yeah.
then I don't know, it's just like there's no resolution there. And like the resolution is I guess she's not this person that we thought she was. And then you just kind of shoo her out of the story at that point, which I didn't like. And there's two other things that are just so pointless in this book. So we can talk
Cassandra
about
and Marty.
huh?
Cassandra and Marty.
Well, that is one of them, but there's two more actually. So the Dr. Feingold,
Yeah.
who they're like, "Oh, this doctor is very much involved in all this." He's not, which I'm fine with because you need a little red herring like, "Oh, I think it's him, but it ends up not being him." But then let's remember what happened right after the doctor visit. They're like being tailed by this guy in a car or someone in a car. We just never find out what that's about.
Yeah, or, like, the people in the backyard.
Which I'm assuming the people in the backyard were Bea and Meredith at that point because they're getting back. I don't know if the timeline adds up, but
Mhm.
Cassandra saw people in the backyard, couldn't make out who they were. It was probably Bea and Meredith kind of arguing how to deal with the aftermath of the murder they just committed.
Yeah.
That's what I assume that there. Also, another thing we have to assume, um, Shelby was sleeping with Marty, right?
Yes.
Had to be. They never explicitly say so.
Shelby? You mean Cassandra? Wait,
No, I think Shelby was. I think Marty was cheating on Cassandra
hang
with
on.
Shelby.
Come here, Nelly. Come here. Come on, go. Um, Shelby was the wife that they killed.
Yes.
You think she was sleeping with Marty?
Yeah, because Marty was definitely sleeping with somebody, and so was Shelby when she got hit. Remember? Did you read the very beginning? She was on her way. She was leaving Jason late at night to go on a run where she was going to sleep with the dude in the car. It had to be Marty because Cassandra thought Meredith was sleeping with Marty because they had the past. Remember, they had the past relationship.
She wasn't. She was.
No, that was from college.
I have written down Meredith is sleeping with Cassandra's husband.
Oh, wait, no, I mixed it up. Kate is the one. Kate is the one.
Kate's the lesbian.
No, wait. Yeah, wait, no. I'm right. I'm right. I'm back myself in a
Why would
corner
I have
here.
written that down?
Because Meredith and Marty knew each other from college. They dated in
I
college.
know, but I swear at one point she said that.
No. No. She was telling the truth to Cassandra in that moment, like, I'm not sleeping with your husband. Because Cassandra freaks out. And then I think it's all the stars line up that Shelby and Marty are sleeping together because Marty's sleeping with someone that's not Cassandra.
Okay. You're
And
right,
we
you're
know
right.
it's not Meredith. So I think it's Shelby.
Okay.
And so there's a
So
question
you
mark
think
here.
he
Grace.
was like the mystery man at the top of the stairs that day
Yes.
that okay.
Yes. And I think there's a sneaky suspicion that Grace could be Marty's kid, but who knows? We'll never find out. And then the other nitpicky thing that kind of led nowhere, the whole storyline with the babysitter and Leo as a kid just like getting bullied by that, like
Mhm.
just the whole trauma there was just in my mind pointless. Sad,
Yeah,
but
I think
pointless.
it was adding to the turmoil of Meredith's life,
Fair.
but I
Um
agree.
okay, those are just a few nitpicky things I had to get out of the way because
A
that's
few things you
I read a
hated.
book like this, you're gonna have thoughts, but it's not all negative. What did you think of who they chose to be like the narrators? So we got perspectives from Delilah at the beginning, who is not Delilah. So let's throw that one
Correct.
out.
Okay.
Then we have Meredith, Kate, and
8.
Leo.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts there on that decision?
I thought they were 3 very unique perspectives. I felt like Kate was kind of random, but she was also the one that had no idea what her wife or her partner, I don't know if they were ever legally married, but what she was doing. So I thought that perspective was really interesting because you really don't think of that the entire time.
Yeah.
Like, not even for a second did I think Bea's up to something.
Yeah, I definitely did not suspect Bea. I did find myself really looking forward to Leo chapters. I
Mhm.
just thought it was a very interesting, like, he's a teenager. So, like, how is he supposed to even, like, grapple with all of this?
Right, and his mom had and sister had gone missing when he was, like, 4.
Yeah.
So he
It was
has
just insane.
no recollection really of life before that.
Yeah. And I read, so I was like deep diving on what other people thought of this book, which I like to do. I don't know if you do that. Do you go on like
Yeah, I
Reddit
look
at
at the
all?
reviews.
So I saw people on Reddit were talking about Leo and they're like, he's so unlikable. He's kind of an asshole. It's like, yeah, the
I didn't
dude's
think that.
the dude's 50, like he's a teenager. They're all assholes. They're all the
Yeah, and look at
worst.
what his life has
Yeah.
become.
And he's also the only one to be like, hey dad, like wake the fuck up, be a father for a little bit. So
Mhm.
I really enjoyed and just that perspective of like trying to reorganize your life when you have this person who you think is your long lost sister back into your world. I thought that was very interesting, and that's why the rug pull of her not actually being his sister, was kind of infuriating for me because it's like
Mhm.
I'm putting all this emotional bandwidth into this relationship, and then it doesn't even matter, and then we
You
just
felt
forget
bad
about
for
it.
Leo.
Yeah, I felt bad for Leo, and I felt bad for me because I'm like I want to know more. I want to make sure Carly's okay,
Yeah.
but we'll never know.
Yeah.
And that bothered me a little bit. But I did like Leo a lot.
Did you like
Kate,
how it kind of went back and forth in time? I
yes, but
found it
it got
kind of
old.
confusing at the beginning because there was a
Yes.
lot going on. We were meeting so many characters, so many different relationships
Hmm.
between them, and then going back and forth in time as well. It was like, holy cow.
You know what they needed? I think they needed weirder names. I think they have two basic names where I kind of in my head mixed up like Shelby, Meredith, and Kate a little
Yeah.
bit. I had to like reorient myself each chapter. I'm like, who is Kate? Is she missing right now? Is she okay? 10 years ago, what does that mean? So she's alive right now and not missing. And so
Yeah,
like each chapter I had to like check in with myself, like, where am I?
right.
And eventually you got there, but maybe they just needed weirder names. I don't know.
Yeah, but then if
Oh,
they did have weirder names, you'd be like, I hate her name.
yeah, it's a stupid name. If her name was
Yeah,
like Aurora, I'd be like,
Piper.
no one's name. But Piper's just normal.
That wasn't that from that first book we read that you hated?
Poppy.
Poppy.
Ugh. And I
That's
looked back, so we were putting together our reviews for all the books we've read, which I am shocked still to this day how many books I've read. But looking back on the people we meet on vacation scores, we need a caveat or an asterisk by it that was the first book I read because I hate that book.
you gave it an 82.
Unbelievable. I think it was just more like patting myself in the back that I read a book.
You rated it higher than I did.
Unbelievable. I hate that
And
book.
I love that genre. That's so weird.
Yeah, again, that's just a caveat of I hadn't read a book in a decade, so I was proud of myself. So I do not enjoy that book, but we'll see what happens with the movie. Um, what else about this book? Do you? I mean, I think the last third I was intrigued. I would offer a alternative ending if you would allow me the space to do so.
Okay.
So instead of here's how I fix my Delilah number two problem. The Delilah we meet at the beginning is still the Delilah, is actually Delilah. But what happened was this.
This isn't a new ending. This is just a
This,
different book.
this is an alternative ending.
Okay.
Everything else is the same. The middle, everything. So here's what happened though in the accident. So Bay and Meredith still kill Shelby. Everything happens. Delilah witnesses it. Bea still kills Meredith. After Bea kills Meredith in the motel, she uses Meredith's like phone book or doula. She's a doula, right? She helps people give birth. And she finds a couple that has recently either miscarried or lost a baby in some capacity who is like probably hurting right now. Again, this is manipulative, but Bea is in a time of crisis right now. So then she takes Delilah to that couple and like, hey, here are the ground rules. You get this kid, right? This is you are mourning, you want a child in your life. Here's a child. We are never going to speak of this again. You're never going
This
to reach out to me.
child's like 6 years old.
Still, okay, whatever. Hear me out. Here's the steps. You're gonna say, hey, we're never gonna talk about this. You're never gonna communicate with me again. I'm never gonna see you all again ever in my life. But make sure she has a good life. But then at some point, we have like a chapter at the end where Delilah is very aware of what's happening. Because obviously she's 6 years old. She's still a little like, what is happening right now? And then she gets so unruly that the couple that Bea gave Delilah to ends up like trapping her in this basement. And so but like maybe Bea pays for the surgery to fix the cleft chin. Like we get backstory like that. So they're like, hey, we need to make sure this person doesn't come back and match whatever. And then we end up having a bookend with Delilah perspectives. And they could have done this either way, but I think the last chapter should have been Delilah's perspective.
And it was actually from Kate's, right?
It was Kate's, Kate is a very nothing burger of a person in my book.
Really?
What did she do? She's nothing.
She was a very supportive friend. She knew the kids very well and frequently watched them and took care of them.
Okay.
She practically led the whole search party.
Not really. She was
She was a huge help.
No, not really. She went on the doctor like path for a while. That led nowhere.
Well,
What do you mean she was a huge help?
she
The
was.
actual daughter was in her backyard. If she was a huge help, she would have figured that one out. That hey, my
Who
partner is
would
a
have figured that
murderer.
out?
A normal person to realize your partner's a murderer.
I don't know. I think Bea is just a master manipulator.
Probably, but I don't know. Kate she didn't do anything for me. And
I
like
really
she's
like
just
Kate.
there. If she was any smarter, she would have figured it out. So I guess you kind of need a dumb character to be there. That's
Well, yeah, I do think that kind of served that was kind of her purpose.
Yeah, is what it is. So,
Okay.
anything else with these characters? Anyone you really liked? Anyone you didn't like? We've unpacked my nitpicky complaints, and I want to be more positive about this book because I did enjoy it. But I think that's the point of a mystery book like this, right? You want to argue about it, talk about it, create discourse.
Um, I don't know. I thought this is kind of one of your nitpicky things. I thought the whole Marty situation was really weird.
Oh, like
I
lying.
think they wanted us to think, the author wanted us to think for a while that Cassandra was potentially the
Yeah,
murderer, and that was probably the point. But the whole backstory where like Meredith's dating Marty, I'm almost leaving, and then we find out that she got pregnant with his baby
that was crazy. I forgot
and
about
then
that.
miscarries the baby. I wrote that down with a bunch of question marks because I just felt like what she was really trying to convince us, I guess. And I mean, Cassandra was the one sending the text messages.
Another thing that's insane. Cassandra needs help because that's
Yeah.
crazy. But also, like, I think Marty's equally as crazy for that initial meeting because it described where they first saw each other after not seeing each other since college. They're both
He
married.
lied.
And immediately, the fact that his initial response is to lie, well, I guess he is sleeping with Shelby, probably. So, like, that's kind of
We
in his
do
brain.
not know that.
Yes, we do. He's
They
sleeping
I
with
feel like
somebody.
they would have clarified that.
I think we're led to just believe that.
Okay.
But we can leave that open to interpretation, I guess. But Marty in itself, like, he is already in the mindset of, like, kind of working in the shadows a little bit. Okay. So he's being secretive. So, like,
Well, then for a while I was like, did Marty kill her?
where is Marty during all this? Do we ever meet Marty other than stories?
Somebody goes and talks to him. Kate goes and talks to him, maybe?
Does she? She goes to talk to Cassandra. I mean, think about this from Marty's perspective. The woman I am cheating on my wife with
You cannot
dies.
say that.
But yes, okay, who is Shelby going to see in the middle of the night in the very opening chapter, like the
She
pre
said
that?
she, like, met guys on apps.
But this guy she's been seeing over and over again. And they both are married. We know that. And but think about okay, let's say hypothetically it is Marty. Okay? The person that Shelby is going to see is Marty. What's Marty thinking when he's waiting in his car, waiting for Shelby to come hook up? She never shows. So he's like, maybe she got cold feet. He goes home to his wife, Cassandra, and then finds out the next day that Shelby's just missing. She's gone. And then they find out later she's dead. Like that would
I mean, he's probably just praying nobody knows so that he's not a suspect.
yeah, but I would that guilt would eat him up just like it would Meredith. I want to see more of that. Like what's going on with Marty right now?
Yeah, and then his first love that he got pregnant
Yeah, also dies.
also dies or
That's
goes missing.
crazy.
We don't know if she's dead at that point,
Yeah, talk
but
about a rough 48 hours or
we
however long.
also hear quite a bit from their daughter.
Oh, yeah.
I
What's
forget her name.
Lucy? Am I making
No.
that up? I should have wrote that. I tried googling it, but I couldn't get her name. Is
Mm.
it
But in the Leo chapters, she
mhm.
comes up a lot because they go to high school together. And she
Yeah.
was really good friends with Delilah as a kid.
Yeah, that would mess you up.
And they end up moving, don't they?
Yeah, they move away.
Yeah.
Well,
As they should.
they move across town because they're still going to the same school. Because that's how
I
Leo and
don't
the
they
daughter.
move again though after all of this comes out at the end of the book? Don't they
Yes,
move
at the
to a
very
different
end.
state?
I mean, if
Okay.
I'm Marty, I'm moving out too. I'd be like,
Oh,
everyone, Everyone
leaving
I
the
ever
country
slept with, anyone I ever slept with besides my wife is
is dead.
dying. So, maybe I should get out of here. So,
Yeah.
is what it is. Yeah, no, I again, at the end of the day, I very much enjoyed this book from an entertainment standpoint. I couldn't put it down for a while. I d
Yeah.
I was on a road trip to Cincinnati. I was reading like the back third of this, and right when we like arrived, I had like 20 pages left and I was pissed. I was
Yeah.
like, this is right when I found out it was after I found out Gus wasn't real and they just found out that Delilah didn't have like the cleft chin too. So they hadn't gone to the police station yet to like get the
Okay.
DNA results and realize that the cop lied. So I'm sitting there wondering, I'm like, do they have the surgery to like I thought they like replaced her chin because you can do that apparently. Apparently there's a surgery. So I didn't know what was happening. I had a lot of questions. But I enjoyed the book. So I can't I know
I thought it was very creative. I appreciated that I didn't know what was gonna happen because I do think that sometimes they're pretty predictable.
I you see you say something like that, I think you need to set your bar higher for what is gonna knock
Maybe,
your socks off.
maybe,
'Cause
but I really enjoyed it.
I'm glad you did, and so did I. So, like, I'm coming in hot with the things I didn't like because that's what I'm most passionate
You
about.
you always do.
But, like, that's the beauty of art, right? It creates these conversations, so is what it is. You wanna get into some scores here?
Yeah.
So we can compare, I finally put it all together into one spreadsheet,
Yeah,
so
I'm looking at that now.
let's go highest to like, my highest rated book we've read is The Housemaid, which is, like, a similar genre, right?
Yes.
So I like The Housemaid better than this. I would say that.
My
Um,
highest is also The Housemaid.
and then my lowest is Shoe Dog, which I disagree with because out of all of them, I would most likely reread
You
Shoe Dog.
hated The People We Meet on Vacation.
Why is it an
You
82? I'm putting
also
it.
hated In a Holidays.
No, I didn't. I didn't hate in the holidays. I enjoyed it. It was around
Okay.
Christmas time. It made me feel happy.
Alright.
Again, a lot of this depends on like my mood and what I'm feeling in the
I
moment.
agree.
But I know I enjoyed In the Holidays. But Shoe
Okay.
Dog, out of all the books we've read, is my most likely to reread. But I think that's just by the nature of the type of book it is. So I can't really score it based off that.
Are you
Um,
changing your score right now?
no, I'm just adding an asterisk by people we meet on vacation, as in it's the first book I've ever read. Because
First book
that's
of
an insane score. Giving that an 82 is an insane score. And I apologize. Like, I'm a
yeah.
man of integrity. So that in the moment I wasn't lying, but I don't like it looking back. But ladies first, what would you rate this book?
I am going to give it a 90.
Okay. All right. So that
So
puts
I'm
it
it's tied with The Housemaid.
all right. You're giving it a 90. I will go. I'm gonna give this one, despite my reservations with it, I really enjoyed the entertainment value. I'm gonna give it an 88. I'm a little below you. Um, I do want to admit this, but the next time we review a book, which we'll talk about in a second about what book that is going to be, I'm gonna log all of these books on Goodreads, and I'm gonna be committed to that. I know I've said it, I've teased it. I'm officially gonna do it because as I was putting that together, our little ranking there, I was like, I want to remember some of the stuff that I say about these books, and I can go back and watch these videos, but I want a few like notes about why I scored a book this level or whatever. So I will log them all, and I'll let people. Can you follow people on that?
Yeah, like, we can be friends.
Aw, that's cute.
I
All
like
right.
it because you can see, like, other people's reviews and stuff too, which makes it fun.
Oh, can you
So, like,
comment?
even before I read a book, sometimes I'll just check to see, like, the overall rating.
Oh, fun. You see what your friends thought of the book?
Yeah, and, like, look, you have, um,
Is there an
like,
app?
my yeah, it's an app, like, my 2025 reading challenge, and it tracks like, you put all the books you've read that
Oh,
year.
amazing. Okay, my username
It's the
for it is
goal
gonna
for
be
yourself.
Wyatt Metzger 99. So follow me on Goodreads, and you'll be my favorite people in the world. So go do that. Jenna, what's your Goodreads username? Pause, waiting for dramatic effect.
How do I know that?
I don't know.
I don't know. My name's Jenna Jansen.
Nice to meet you. Okay, we'll figure it out.
It doesn't have a username. It
It
just
has
has
to.
no. It just has my name at the top.
Oh, it's definitely gotta be a username of some kind. But anyways, we'll figure it out. What are you leaning towards next? Do you have anything on your list of like I want to read this? I've kind of offered that over to you, where you're just gonna pick what we read at this point, unless something really strikes me, kind of like Hunger Games, Sunrise and the Reaping did, which we should do an
I
episode
do that.
soon about the casting for
I
that
have a
because
lot of opinions.
okay, we'll do a bonus episode for next week where we will talk about the casting for Sunrise and
Okay.
the Reaping because I could talk about that for days.
Okay.
But
I'm
book next.
not leaning towards anything specific yet, but I do have a lot on my list that I think would be good conversation books.
Okay, you want to read through some? Throw out some and see if anything jumps out to me. Wow. I'm on the edge of my seat.
Let's see. Magnolia Parks. It's a series, so I don't know if you want to
Nope.
do that.
I'm not ready for series yet.
Do you remember the movie Me Before You?
Me Before You.
It's
That
the guy
sounds.
that has ALS, I think.
Oh, in the wheelchair, and then oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
what's her name?
Uh,
This is by the same author of that one. It's called We All Live Here.
okay.
Gone Girl. I still think
Is that
we should.
okay? I would love to. Would love to read Gone Girl
Um,
at some point.
but isn't that another mystery?
It is. It's very similar to what we just read.
Okay, so maybe we need to mix
Let's
it up.
space it out. Yeah.
Okay.
Are there any
I
books?
also think we should read. I've been wanting to try like a historical fiction.
Okay. Is there any? I was wondering, are there any books like that
I
are
was wondering.
what? Am I not allowed to wonder?
You are, but just ask.
Okay. Well, okay. I'm asking. Are there any books that are like older books that you just like never got to that could be fun to like that maybe were popular back, or maybe just like older novels that you're like, oh, maybe one day I'll read that. Or because like all of these I feel like are somewhat recent within the last decade, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Wasn't sure if there were any on the list that are like older ones that like I'm
I
never
don't
gonna read that.
really have any of those on the list.
Okay.
I'm not gonna read like Moby Dick. No.
Okay, that wasn't exactly where I was going with, but
I don't know that I'm interested in those like older books.
like
Like what
The Giver is a book that I want to read that I never got
as
to.
an adult? You never read The Giver?
No.
Okay, read that in like 7th grade.
Really?
We could do The Giver. It would be so quick.
Okay, never mind.
No, I'm saying we could. I would do it.
Maybe. Well, we'll figure this out offline.
What's the one about like the city of Emerald?
What?
Let's do The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
We're not going to do that one. What we could do. No, we don't need. That's a series. Never mind. We don't need to dive deep
What's
into that.
the city of Ember?
I've never heard of that in my life.
Oh.
Okay, we'll talk about it. We'll figure out a book and we'll post it on the Instagram, on TikTok. So make sure you're following us there. But if you watch this whole review, make sure to like the video. Comment what you think we should read because we're open at this point. We are not settled on the next book. So continue to give some suggestions there. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.